like making things difficult for myself. I sat down with 9 minutes to the start of the stream and I went, you know what? I can get a base code on these 8 battle mechs. That shouldn't be a problem. Oh boy.
I could think of a way to do it, but you'll need bigger paint pots.
Dip.
Yep.
Yep. I got it done. They're in the dehydrator. I just haven't turned it on yet. I need to check whether my printer started. Yes. Some reason, as it gets older, as do we all, it doesn't like the first self-leveling check. Gets round to the 4th pad and fails. And it's only ever the first time, and it's only ever the 4th pad. Unless, of course, the nozzle's extremely dirty, in which case it fails on the first pad, but I normally keep the nozzle pretty clean. But it's just like, it just seems to be one of those things that hasn't woken up properly yet, and it just goes, nah, no. And
I totally sympathise with
it. The worst part about it is that in order to do the self-leveling, first it does a nozzle clean, so there's a wiper pad at the back, and it heats the nozzle up to near operating temperature, and then it drops down into the wiping pad and wipes the nozzle off. Well, in order to do that, it's got to retract the filament. So it heats the nozzle up to the point where the filament would retract. It retracts it, then it wipes the nozzle, and it starts doing the self-check. And when it fails on the 4th pad, it disconnects the printer. Octoprint, the printer disconnects Octoprint, whatever. So you've got to reconnect it. You've got to catch the temperatures before they drop too fast, both on the bed and the hot end. You've got to get the hot end back up to the level where it'll feed the filament through it. Then you've got to extrude, because as soon as you press print again, it does the retract to go and do the nozzle clean and the self-leveling check. And it's like, it's showing its age. It's 6 years old and technology's moved on.
Done a lot of miles.
It's done a lot of work, that machine. Amazing amount of work. It's probably had somewhere between 20 and 30 kilos worth of filament through it. So yeah, good value for money. I spent a little bit more money on it when I got it to get what was then the best small size printer around. Its bigger brothers were $5,000 and $6,000. Couldn't afford that.
Now I know it was a long time ago, because that doesn't stop you now.
$5,000 and $6,000, yes it does.
Well, I was going to say spending a little bit more, but you know.
Yeah. I went looking and I could get a replacement for about half the price I paid for it originally. The only problem with that is that nobody does the 3mm filament anymore. Everybody's gone to the 1.75mm filament. And I had just bought 3 reels when that loom failed again. So I was sweating that. But anyhow, the good tech support people at Lolspot showed me which connectors I needed to buy, so I went and bought some. So now I can make another half a dozen looms and there won't be a problem. So maybe I'll get another 25 kilos worth of filament through it. You never know. We'll probably need another hot end at some point. They do erode. Well, this is what we ended up with sort of at the end of last week. Not really at the end of last weekend, though. It was kind of Tuesday before I finished them. I was a bit beat after last weekend.
And fair enough, too.
The nice thing to say about that is we've had about 1.5 inches of rain during the week, and the surface hasn't shifted at all. Very, very impressed.
Oh, mission successful.
Mission successful. So I'll have no qualms about riding motorcycles across that. It's a really hard surface. And this is what we're doing today. A dragon that's feeling blue. I apologise for the dog toy squeaking.
Thought it was a cat being strangled.
It amounts to the same thing because that's what the squeakers are there to simulate.
Yeah, I know.
Not specifically a cat, but... Right, just going on mute for a second to mix this paint. How did your night end up?
Good. No complaints, I suppose.
Right. And if there were, you don't expect anybody would be listening to them?
Well, I know you would. I've got a captive audience. But there's not much that could be done about any of them. Some people are just the way that they are.
Righto. Goggles on. And I will commence paint drying. So Jo says not to blame her if this doesn't work out well, but they are her colour choices. Just thought I'd get that out there before I started.
So there'll be no yellow to offset this blue.
Oh no. No fear. No yellow. Am I in shot? No, I'm not.
Nope.
Not enough room when you're wielding a big figure.
Well, it is that.
It's not quite the size of the tarantula with the siege tower on its back, but it's not far off. So what are the plans for today?
Saying hello there and welcome to Painting with Dan.
Right. And after that?
Waiting for a response from our new friend.
Right. There might be technical difficulties. Is this in Discord or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Supposed to be some sort of pub crawl tonight.
Oh, wasn't that last night?
No.
No.
No. I kind of hope that it keeps raining and
Right.
that people's spirits are discouraged.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Has it been raining a lot? Like, is it heavy or?
No, it's been fairly gentle, but constant.
Right.
Allegedly, it'll clear up this afternoon, but who knows?
Best guess of a lot of computing power says nothing intelligible.
Yeah, well, they don't use computing power to determine these things anyway. They just pluck things out of their ass.
Chickens. Because you go for the double pluck.
So back in the 80s and 90s, my old man worked for the Department of Finance here in Brisbane. And the office tower that they were in was, bang smack in the middle of the city. 20-something floor their department was.
Right.
And on the floor above them was the local Met Office,
Right.
Bureau of Meteorology. All of the windows in that office on the next floor up, 21st story in Brisbane, so above everything else at the time, they were all blacked out so that they couldn't see when they were wrong. True.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me at all. Sorry, I'm reminded of that quote from Good Morning Vietnam. The guy says, what's the weather? You got a window? Open it. Gold. That must have been a morale sort of a thing, right? Keeping morale up.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Sorry, you were going to say something. Cut you off.
Yeah, why don't you drop another world-building Demonworld fact that will screw up backstories?
Morning, Grant. Feisty mood. I don't know. Which one did I drop last time that screwed up backstories? And why haven't you got audio on Discord? What's that question? Battle Riders being powered by runes and not steam. Well. I don't want to have to try and explain to people why there are steam engines, why there aren't 12-inch naval guns and machine guns and everything else that comes at that level of machining capability.
Whenever you notice something like that, a wizard did it.
Exactly right. A wizard did it. This is why gunpowder is not gunpowder in Demonworld.
There you go. I didn't know that.
Because it can't be. because of the problems it causes. So it's a magical blasting powder that is created by mages and priests and shamans and whatever, all in a slightly different way, all with a slightly different effectiveness, which will be homogenized for game terms, but will add plenty of flavour because people will want the next guy over's blasting powder, so because it's better than their own, so they'll go steal it.
Thus strife and conflict.
Exactly.
I see where you're going with this.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, need to cough. Right, I'll just leave that long over there.
Yeah, I've been doing a bit of that this morning myself. Swear to God, it's not psychosomatic. Maybe I found a way out.
A way out of?
Oh, this pub crawl.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was noise.
You can just barely hear. Now I can't hear you because you've muted and deafened yourself, so why am I talking? Oh wait, you're probably getting it through the Twitch stream.
Yeah. It sounds like very low bandwidth. Technical difficulties. Now, that would be a bad idea, would be to dip the wingtip into the wet palette.
At the very least, you'd put a hole in the wet palette.
Yeah. They're quite sharp.
Yeah, these Demonworld dragons, they're pretty impressive.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, these Demonworld dragons, they're pretty impressive.
Feedback.
Yeah, these Demonworld dragons, they're pretty impressive. Feedback.
Open mic. Speakers.
Speakers.
You haven't got a pair of headphones, have you, Grant?
The answer to that being no, then. Headphones are painful to wear.
Well, they are. That's why you spend a lot of money on them. Because you're spending 5 or 6 hours a day in them. They want to be damn comfortable. One of my colleagues asked me, did work pay for them? I laughed. Laughed and laughed and laughed.
Be nice if they did, though.
It would be, but you know, budgets being what budgets are. About $100 is all they're going to spring for headphones. And that's a market improvement over what it was 3 years ago when it was $50.
Well, decent sets of headphones are getting more expensive and cheaper at the same time.
Mm-hmm. This pair that I've got on was well over $300. And they're by far the most comfortable headphones I've ever worn. And they do a good job of getting rid of the background noise. You remember a little while ago I bought a new set and put them on and you could hear absolutely everything out inside, everything outside.
Yep. Well, speaking of which, you remember how I kept putting headphones through the washing machine earlier this year?
Yes.
Well, I got sick of my J-car once.
Right. That wouldn't have taken long.
No. Well, the left earbud developed a problem where it was basically inaudible.
Yeah.
It still played audio, but not at a volume that you could hear
Right.
with any great accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
So I, just for the hell of it, flicked over to JB. Oh, look, they're having a sale on the headphones that I like.
Right.
And so I bought them, and they showed up next day, which is good.
Beautiful. And
they're $120 cheaper than what I paid for them last time.
Well, that's excellent.
Yeah.
That's really excellent. So the next burning question is, have you put them through the wash yet?
No.
Right. Well, maybe you'd avoid doing that.
Best as I can. So who's this dragon in aid of?
This is a high elf dragon.
Does look a bit snooty, doesn't it?
Yes. Call him Snoot Dog. Whoa.
What's he worked himself up to now? Was he lion last time I checked? Snoop Lion.
I think he spent his entire life lying about everything.
Yeah, well, if rappers actually had the criminal records they profess to, they wouldn't be rapping.
Not outside the exercise yard, anyway.
Oh no, just most of the things they do would have had them shot dead already.
Oh.
By law enforcement.
Like Tupac. Was it Tupac? Which one was
that? No, he was a drive-by gang shooting.
Oh, was he? Still, closest thing to legitimate. Don't think?
I guess.
The question is, do I do the rest of his face grey? I think I have to. Have to sort something else out with his mouth. I assume the camera's having serious difficulty.
No, it's not a blurry mess.
Well, not to you, maybe.
Yeah, I probably need to clean my glasses. The detail does come through quite nicely, though, when you're in shot.
Well, there's a question I hadn't considered. Colour am I going to do his hair?
Silver.
There's a good point. Well, there's the grey.
You know, I hadn't considered that I'd actually need a bigger painting handle to paint my dragon. Or some of the other bigger creatures I've got laying around.
A nail does not cut it for that size monster.
No, I'm beginning to realise that.
Righto, here we go. Cardinal sin number 3. Everybody's just blanched in horror.
Oh, it's not yellow.
No, but it is metallic on a wet palette.
Oh, I do that.
Not going to get a lot of contrast out of this, I don't think, but that's what the grey's there for. Ugh. That's extremely awkward.
No kidding. Kind of why I was thinking of painting my dragon disassembled.
Yeah. There is something to be said for doing that. I've painted the other 3 that I've done and painted them all assembled, so just following on from that, I suppose. But I wouldn't see it being a bad idea. I mean, provided you didn't end up with super glue burn.
Well, you know, leave the connection points basically just primer and then assemble it and paint in the gaps. Might be more hassle than it's worth. Obviously, I've had it sitting around for the better part of a year and
Have you?
haven't touched it. Yeah, I think it turned up in October or November.
Oh, right.
When.
Yeah. And which dragon is it?
The double-headed Dark Elf one.
Oh, the Dark Elf one.
Well, the Dark Elves have 2 dragons.
Yep.
This is the double-headed one. You know, stick a Ice Witch cavalry figure on the back.
Mm-hmm.
Because I sacrificed the original rider to the prototyping of armies paints.
Yeah, right. Yep. Apologise for the beeping. Can see it now, sort of starting to pop out, I guess. It's not helpful that my blue tech's gone soft.
Better your blue tack than something else.
I was going to say, like my head.
Oh, I wasn't thinking about that.
Heaven forbid it's your chips.
Well, they certainly do in this weather.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's drizzling down here too, so...
Yeah, late last night when I went to put a coat of varnish on the Dark Elf leaders I've been working on. I reached for the spray can and gave it a good shake and sprayed it. And oh, wait a second, it's raining. Probably should have done that with the brush on.
Yeah.
Oh well, they'll just be shiny.
And should you put the brush on over it?
Not yet.
No.
Well, you know, they're stuck on the bases now, and I'll give it all a blast with the spray can again once the crackle paint's gone on and dried.
Yep.
And then I'll do the brush on over that coat, just as the final step.
Yeah. That all makes perfect sense.
No, it'll ruin their cleavage, though.
Oh, well, you know. Just have to buy them bigger axes. I assume you can't see that at all because my hands are in the way.
Oh, just the bottom of an old Tamiya pot.
Yep. One that's had a great many things stuck to the top of it and primed. By the numbers of layers of paint on it.
Yeah, I'm doing a good job of showcasing my sparkling wit today.
That's what metallic paints are for, isn't it?
My sparkling wit, not yours. In a fair and just world, I'd still be in bed. Nah, kidding. I don't begrudge you this time at all. Didn't get to bed till late last night, though. Just a bit underslept.
Yep. So Joe's off to the market this morning. So she's up at 10 to 6. Because you've got to get to the market early or you miss out on the good stuff.
Yep.
So she goes past and picks a friend up on her way. They alternate between them once a month as to who drives. So this morning it was Joe's turn to drive. So she's up at 10 to 6 and in the shower. She's been in the shower 30 seconds and her alarm's decided to switch itself back on again. So her smartwatch is now dancing its way across the bedside table, threatening to go onto the floor. Bzz, 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 bzz. It's like, guess I'm not sleeping through that. Anyhow, I reach over and turn it off and sort of get myself comfortable under the covers again, and she comes out of the shower and then the lights go on and there's a big kerfuffle and all that kind of stuff, and she's, she's trying to be quiet, stealthy movements and all that kind of stuff, but primarily to not wake the dogs up, because once Willow's up, all bets are off.
Everyone's up.
Everyone's up, including the neighbours. So she gets into the hallway, which is just outside our bedroom door, because our bedroom's sort of at the front of the house next to the entryway. She picks everything up and opens the front door and promptly drops her keys. So I could hear that echo off the neighbour's house. So it's like stealth mode fail. So yeah.
And that's why role-playing games need to have failures.
That's it.
It's one of the things they're trying to take away from the new version of Dungeons and Dragons that they're showing off.
Nobody can fail at anything.
Basically.
Well, that's ridiculous.
It's like they're just writing the game for the Stranger Things crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Millennial kids who are, useless.
And told that they're, the best thing that's ever been.
Yeah.
The real world's going to treat them very badly. The expectations that are just simply not going to be met.
But the problem is that a lot of society is going out of the way to court them for some reason, especially politicians. They are the future of voting, unfortunately.
They are. They're the future of everything. What was it? What was it? What was it the Sergeant Major would say? Oh dear.
Shut up.
How sad, never mind.
Yes. There's that one as well. Oh dear.
How sad.
Never mind.
It's nice in the set of shoulders you have there, lad. Stand
Show them off.
Show them off. Yes, I did. I ended up buying it.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised you're able to.
Yeah. Amazon UK sells it quite happily, ships it quite happily. So I got that and Dad's Army at the same time.
Oh, well done.
For a not considerable amount of money either. So yeah, I started watching it. Goodness me, it's funny. It is absolutely un-PC from the perspective of the modern world. Like, you would never ever be able to make a show like that at the moment, possibly ever again. And the racism, oh, boy oh boy. And because I work with people from the subcontinent every day, you can't help but smile and sort of cringe and die inside at the same time. But stereotypes are stereotypes. I guess that just makes me a bad man.
Well, you can't have a stereotype without a grain of truth to it. Otherwise, it's not a stereotype.
That's right.
It is a very funny show, though.
Yeah. Be like Kingswood Country. Like,
Another very funny show.
very funny show, but just something that just doesn't probably work anymore.
Well, the comedy works. It's just that people are soft.
Object to the racism and sexism and how many other isms are there in Kingswood Country? There'd have to be a few.
Yeah, but the problem is that they're not seeing it as a product of its time.
No, they're judging it with modern eyes.
It's a 40-year-old show,
Yeah,
at least, based on an even earlier time.
yeah. I get a bit frustrated by that. Like, people are doing that with Tolkien.
Yeah, I know. I told you about that last Tolkien conference they had.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Every single speaker they had was not talking about his work, but complaining why there are no black elves and shit like that. And oh yeah, what's his face with the arrows is actually a lesbian. What's
Right.
his face? Like,
Yeah.
okay.
It was a product of its time.
Mm-hmm.
He was a product of his time. Really struggling to hang on to this.
Yeah, I noticed. Your shakes are a bit, even for you, a bit pronounced.
Worse than usual. Righto. The question is, what am I doing with these pinions? Am I going to do them grey?
Well, I would have done them horn colour.
Well,
But,
the bones on his head are the metallic blue, so I'm doing that. But the it's this stuff under here that I think that might need to be grey. Just to pick it out from the blue background.
Mm.
Missed a bit. Missed a bit. Missed another bit. Claws. No claws for alarm. I can't even claim that joke. That was out of Inspector Gadget.
Which version?
The Don Adams one.
Just like Batman, there's only one Batman. His name was Adam West.
Mm-hmm.
But it hasn't stopped him from trying to ruin it.
Ah, the Adam West years.
Yeah, one of my favourite jokes about things that I liked in my childhood
Yeah.
that have since been remade many, many times is that there's only ever been the one of them, and it was the particular version that I liked, and everything else can go hang.
Yeah.
Up yours, Michael Bay.
For everything.
A man's gone to great lengths to ruin my childhood
Mm-hmm.
across multiple franchises.
Righto. So there's got to be another one because I've only done 3. Okay. That'll be this one. Righto. Back to the grey. Upside down, Miss Jane. Apparently you're supposed to be able to tell how old you are by
Mm.
which assistant Mr. Squiggle had.
Oh, good God, I don't even remember the assistants. I mean, I remember the blackboard and Squiggle himself.
Hurry up.
And I think I remember that they were trying to introduce other puppet characters about the time I fell off that show.
Right.
Aged out of it.
Well, my assistant was Miss Jane.
Oh, at least you remember.
Well, there's been more than one adult joke aimed at that in the meantime. My blue tack's all soft.
Too early in the morning to get pizza delivered, isn't it?
Nope. It might be too early for a pizza shop to be open, but if you can find one open, they'll deliver.
Oh,
What sort of pizza?
probably trashy fast food pizza. Bulky and filling. Smells pretty good for that 20 to 30 minutes that it's still warm. And then even more delicious after that part where it's cold.
The following morning.
Oh, there would be no following morning in this case, I'm sure. There's something blowing on the breeze. Someone's got some sort of nice food scent wafting
Right.
through the window, and I'm thinking,
Food.
I'm hungry.
Saturday morning. Haven't had breakfast yet.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It's too heavy for some of these angles.
Could be worse.
Could be.
Could be a tarantula with a tower on it.
Could be. I wonder if Don would be up for getting some of that art put on t-shirts.
His art?
Yeah.
Well, he sells prints. I don't see why he wouldn't be. I mean, I don't know how much money people make off those print-on-demand sorts of things.
Very little.
Where they set up.
The print-on-demand place makes money.
Yeah, but not people who sell.
No. Very little. Oh, you can set your own profit levels, typically, but I mean, it's already ludicrous. You're already talking about $25 t-shirts.
Mm.
I've scratched it. Fuck.
I was about to suggest, laying down some bubble wrap, but they just pop them.
That's right. That's a bit annoying. It's alright. Where's the colour I used? I have to remember which colour I used. Nope. Which colour did I use? This could be a problem. I should have written it down.
Mm.
I don't know. That's it. It could be. It's got to be close. That went on surprisingly well. Like, that's a brushed on air paint.
Can't tell the difference.
It's blended quite well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, how about that? I love these air paints. Absolutely adore them. They're so easy to use. Can heartily recommend air paints when they haven't been frozen.
Yeah.
Silver, you reckon? A gunmetal,
Yeah.
a plate mail, a brighter metal than that? You know what I've got? I've got here, I've got fairy dust, which is a very, very white, bright.
Yeah, that's the one that they recommend using over other colours to turn them metallic.
And then there's the shining silver. Then there's a plate mail. Then there's a gunmetal. Oop. Get out of the way, dragon. Blocking my shot. So that's sort of the colour progression.
Yeah, I was thinking plate mail and then shining silver highlights. Although the gunmetal one and then shining silver highlights would probably work well too. No, maybe not. Gunmetal and then plate mail highlights. Or you could do it white contrast paint and then put your metallic, your fairy dust over the top of that.
Yeah. Don't need to use the air paints for a gunmetal.
Yeah, I quite like those metallics.
Too many hairs. The thing about the gunmetal is it's actually quite similar to the grey. So it's a metallic version of the grey.
Mm.
Which is okay because I'm going to do some things like this. Just add a little sparkle. Terrible. But I think I know what colour I'll do his hair.
Mm.
The fairy dust.
How do you get the pixie wings to sparkle? Fairy dust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no way you're going to be able to see what I'm doing here. Alright, let's have a look at what it looks like. Oh, you know what? I think I've got it in regular paint, not in air. Fairy dust. It's never been used though, so we'll need some shaking. Big truck going up the street. You know how I said it was raining?
Mm-hmm.
Sun's shining now. Typical Melbourne. That's going to need a couple of coats. That's okay. Now the question is, do I do the highlight on the scales before I source it or after I source it? I think I have to do it before. So give the source the opportunity to blend it. Righto. Well, this is going to be tedious.
What you need is something that you can do through an airbrush.
I've got a pretty good airbrush here. I don't think I'd be capable of it. I think the brush is far more capable than I am. So I was going to use this collar. I was going to see if I had an equivalent. I don't think I do. How did your test go, Grant? Did it work?
Oh, I think that answers that. Oh, the guy next door started up the lawnmower.
Right, fair enough. Yeah, it's going to be one of those weekends too. First weekend of spring. People are going to be out there mowing.
Oh, they're not here, fortunately.
Well, no, it'd be a bit wet, wouldn't it?
Mm,
Does that stop people?
sometimes.
Sometimes.
There's one idiot halfway up the hill who, mows 2 or 3 times a week, which is obnoxious.
Nothing better to do.
Yeah.
You having your mic or not?
Yeah, I heard that. No, this isn't going to be tedious at all. And I'm probably out of shot. No?
No.
Except the camera can't see what I'm doing because I'm down behind the wing. Try that.
Okay.
You can see that, Matty?
I can see what you're doing.
It's an idiotic idea. Paint's too damn far away.
Speaking of obnoxious noises,
Hmm?
can you hear that in the background?
Nope.
Oh, good.
Grant's got an open mic again.
Well, nothing I can do about that.
Nope.
I just asked because someone turned on the dryer not 5 meters away from where I am.
Oh, okay.
The dryer 5 meters away from where
I think you can hear me.
I can. We can hear ourselves coming out through your speakers and back through your mic.
Maybe it's the lawnmower man. Not again.
That was a surprisingly entertaining film, by the way. Referring to the lawnmower man.
Never saw it.
Well,
I understand it has very little to do with lawnmowers.
well, no, they picked the lawnmower man because he was stupid. Then they made him not stupid. And like all of those things, it didn't go well. TM.
Well, that's one way to solve the open mic problem.
What's that?
Disconnect from the call.
Oh. Need to get him acquainted with push to talk.
Mm.
Alright. It's very stripy now. Certainly picks out the edge of those plates.
Well, that's true. As a painting demonstration is an utter failure. It's just too big a subject.
It's too big a subject. Ross said something amusing to me yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Said I'd cracked the top 20 for all-time customers for RPE.
Oh, dear. Is that a good thing? Oh, Paul said to say hi. Sent him an email asking about the stand for that grav tank.
Yeah, right.
Mentioned you.
Right. Oh boy. I said that there should have been a stand with it.
Well, to be fair, there's a stand in the photos that are advertised as well.
Yeah. Did he acknowledge that?
What, that it's in the photos on the website?
No, that there was a stand missing.
Oh, yeah.
Why did you mention me?
Oh, just said, chatted with our mutual friend.
Right.
I knew that you had one, of course, and too. Just wanted to make sure.
I've only assembled one of them. I have to remember which colours I used so I can paint them. Wow. Why did I start this?
Because you didn't last week.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Yeah, it was a bit optimistic trying to fit in a dragon after a squad of infantry.
Oh, the landscaping ruined all of that.
That too.
And me. I was not a happy camper Sunday afternoon. I think the last time I fired up the vibrating plate was about 4 o'clock. And that was to do the part outside the garden shed. Because that's been a mess since we moved in. That's never had any decent treatment. It was just there was a concrete pad plonked down, a steel shed plonked on top of it, and no other consideration made.
I did once suggest to build a bridge though.
You did. But I never got over it. So now there's nice stable footing all the way from the house to the garden shed, basically, which is good. But I was already really, really tired, and for having to lift that vibrating plate up the retaining wall and then fire it up and run it round for 20 minutes and then get it back off the retaining wall again. I was grumpy by the end of that.
I can well imagine.
knocked metal off the legs. Knocked paint off the legs, I mean.
Well, that's just highlighting.
Silver highlights.
Yeah.
Brush needs a wash. The Tamir pot's in the way now.
Just no winning, is there?
The trials of painting very big figures. Stripy. And it is very stripy now. It's okay. That's about half the number of stripes to do. Because all the ones on the tail are all little. Oh, stop shaking. This is where Duncan Rhodes says, you need to be in line with the line that you're drawing. You need to draw it back towards you. It's like, sure, you do it on this figure.
Something to be said for painting Space Marines.
Told you about that failure, didn't I?
No.
The periodic magazine.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Well, you told me you'd started buying them. You hadn't.
I subscribed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You hadn't said you'd started doing anything with them.
Oh, no. I found somewhere to stash them. That's all I did with them.
Okay. What I want to know is when they started moving away from orcs as the antagonist to Necrons or others, I suppose.
Long time ago. Orcs only got a refresh last year or the year before. Otherwise, they hadn't had a refresh in 20 years. Not a big fan of Space Orcs. I realise that other people are, so horses for courses.
They're very English in that they're just, soccer hooligan culture.
That's it. You've hit the nail on the head. They're the Barmy Army painted green.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I guess is why they don't have as wide an appeal.
Possibly not.
It's very, very English. Well, British,
Mm-hmm.
Pretending that Scotland and Wales are separate countries. What a joke.
Separate countries or separate economies?
Separate countries. They're definitely not separate economies.
Definitely not. The only reason you know that you're in Wales is that all of the town names have become completely unpronounceable. I did base the average size of the Demonworld faction on the Welsh kingdoms from a land area perspective.
So actually pretty small.
Yeah, relatively small. 10 to 12,000 square miles.
Square miles?
Yeah, square miles.
10 to 12,000 square miles.
I think so.
Isn't that like the land area of the UK?
No. Oh, maybe it was 8 to 10,000 square miles. No, the land area of the UK is a lot bigger than that. You have Google. You can tell me.
$100 miles by 100 miles. Reasonable sized area.
Yeah, when you're talking about trying to govern something like that in a feudal manner, with, the fastest transport being a horse, once you start getting over those sizes, things start getting very difficult.
Mm.
You have a look at the problems the Roman Empire had with communication internally and externally. Some of them, like some of the Istak ones, are substantially bigger, but they're all sort of frozen wastelands, so
Actual habitable area is significantly smaller.
Smaller, yeah. Usable, arable land.
Not unlike Australia.
Yeah. So the idea was to try and start with a starting continent roughly the size of Europe and go from there. But when you look at Europe, it's actually quite big.
Not unlike Australia.
Mm-hmm. But let's face it, Australia's fucking enormous.
Yeah, pretty big.
Compared to the number of people that's in it.
Sure.
Well, there we go. It didn't take quite as long as I expected it to.
Not quite a hoop snake.
Not quite. What? A hoop snake? Yeah. Yeah. The blue hoop snake.
Probably could if it wanted to, though.
Mm. Right. Well, I'm going to source this. But I'm going to source it slightly differently than normal. I'm going to use blue tone.
Ooh, fancy.
Fancy. And when I've finished sourcing it, I'll probably call it a day.
Fair enough, too. It'd take a while for something that big to dry in this weather.
About 30 minutes in the dehydrator.
Are you even going to be able to fit it in there?
Yeah. Don't understand. I'll give you some measurements. The opening is 300 wide, 230 high, and 350 deep.
Okay, fair enough. All the dehydrators I've seen have been small affairs.
Tiny
with,
little things, yeah.
thin drawers in them.
No, well, this has got removable racks.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah, so you get a rack like that. If I show that to the back camera, you get 1, 2, 3, you get 6 of those in total. So I can actually do 3 levels of miniatures if I need to. If I'm really mass producing them. I've been working on some terrain, some polymorphic terrain, little hexagonal tiles that are 100 mil across, and polyfillering the top, and you get 6 layers of those in the dehydrator. And you run that for an hour, and the polyfillers absolutely rock hard. So then you spray them brown, exactly the same thing, and so I can do 30 tiles in an afternoon, 36 tiles in an afternoon.
Not bad.
Yeah, just stuff that I just simply wouldn't have been able to do before because of the elapsed time required.
Yeah.
So I would suggest that the dehydrator's already paid for itself. One of those things that if I was living in Queensland or Northern Territory or something like that would be a must-have piece of equipment, I think.
It does take a little while for the polyfill to dry.
Dry, yeah. Oh. Do it on
I'll
camera.
put it on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I put it on the basis for those liters. The 7:30 this morning.
Yeah, right.
Been 2 hours, haven't had a look yet, but I suspect it'll still be damp.
Still be soft, yeah. How's that wing look?
Kind of hard to tell. Oh, there it is. Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, the lawnmowers are fired up in the street. I've told you about the next door neighbours and the mowers, haven't I? They've got a cricket pitch mower that they share between them, two households side by side, and they've got these absolutely perfectly manicured front lawns. Not a weed in them. You know, perfectly just...
I don't understand people like that.
Neither do I. My immediate reaction to that is nothing better to do.
Mm.
But then I am painting toy soldiers, and that isn't for everybody.
Okay, I could understand, putting in a little bit of effort to ensure a bindi-free lawn.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got, kids playing on it.
Yep.
But it sounds like your neighbours are a little bit older than that.
Oh, they're all, if they're not retirement age, they're all getting very close to retirement age. They've all got big caravans and, the appropriate size towing vehicles for the big caravans. And I actually get the feeling that they go on holidays together. And I don't know about you, but going on holidays with your next door neighbour, I kind of think that's just wrong. I don't know, there's something nepotistic about it.
Well, maybe they actually bought their places together.
Because they were friends.
Yeah.
There is that possibility.
That's me trying to be charitable for today.
Oh, you've used it up now.
Yep.
Maybe they really are upstanding, normal, or typical people, and I'm the one that's... Well, let's not go there.
Yeah, lots of people like caravans for some reason.
Because they don't give a shit about the people around them. It's all about them. So, hogging the highway.
Mm.
Actually, there are some people that have caravans that are actually extremely well behaved, and they get out of the way, and they're courteous, and they recognise that they're the slowest vehicle on the road, and they act accordingly, and all that kind of stuff. But there are some people that just don't care. Right, that is one very blue-inked dragon.
That'll look pretty good when it's dry. I mean, it's looking pretty good now. So here's the question.
I'm going to call him Blackie. What?
I was going to ask what colour you were going to do the eyes.
They'll be yellow with black slit pupils. Why?
Just curious, that's all.
I figured it doesn't matter what colour the dragon is, the eyes will be the same as his brethren.
That's not how it works in humans.
Oh, I know. I'm just reminded of Tolkien's description of the Ents. How many different types and variation of ents, but they all had the same eyes. Had entish eyes. Well, there we go. So the next thing on the table is, I did mention it in the live feed blurb, some 1879 artillery. So the artillery piece itself is coming along pretty nicely. It just needs sourcing, but I've got to do the artillery crew, and I've actually got to do the Dragon Rider, so he'll take precedence over them. So there we are.
There you are.
Demonworld Dragon. Start putting some paints away before I bury myself under paints.
Grant would like to know that all of the stuff is not for Demonworld. It's not.
Nope, not quite. Some of it's 1879. Occasionally I do something completely different. I do owe Don a museum scale fighter for Ether Stream, so I'll be doing that at one point in the next few weeks. And then there's also this unmentionable game.
I recognise some of those.
Yeah. It's the ritual. So there we go. Saturday morning.
Saturday morning. Productive as always.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys, for coming along, joining in, having a chat.
Well, thank you for doing it.
Yeah, no worries. Best part of the week, usually.
That's not very good.
Well, if you set your expectations low, you can't be horribly surprised. Maybe. All right, it's brekkie time. I wish you both a very good day, a great weekend, and yeah, I hope tomorrow morning isn't as hungover as you suspect it's going to be.
Well, me too.
Right, thanks folks, see you next week.